Hey guys. Um, Overall, pretty disappointing match from everybody. I know it's upsetting to think about because I know everybody knows we didn't play up to our full potential. We definitely could have done way better, but the way to improve is to take a look, see what we did wrong, try to figure out why we did those things incorrectly, and just try to work on it so we can do things differently the next time. So I already watched through the demo one time. I have some notes for each round. I'm only going to do the T side, but we'll just sit and talk about my opinion, what happened on some rounds, what I think, the underlying causes of each round, what led to losing them was, and what I think we could do differently or improve on. So the first round, I'm not going to sweat too much about the overall T side pistol round. Really, what I want to talk about is kind of the mid round. So I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. So at this point, we've already got the entry. It's a 4v4. And we're going to get the bomb down. And what you're going to see is Bravado is going to do 2 pushing through radio into lobby, and they're going to go 2 up through heaven. And they're just going to roam together in a 2-2 pack. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to give them a bunch of 1v1s, or rather 1v2s, and that's what's going to lose us the round. So I'm going to slow it down a bit so you can see. So what the first contact here is Gabe. So Gabe sees 2 in radio, pushing through, and he's going to fall off. And then what happens is Andy swings off Gabe. He does get 1 kill, but he thinks Gabe's peeking, so he gets 1 kill and he dies. He gets traded. Then Gabe re-peeks because Andy just died. So now we have 2 there. And so here's what happened, which you didn't see. Jake is still silo in sight, where he just took a 1v2 against those heaven players. So Detrony and JT both just peeked out heaven, and they 2v1 Jake in sight because a Proto fell off to go help Spongy, who is now fighting lobby, and he died. But a Proto gets the trade. So now we've killed everybody in lobby. It was a 2v3, so we did not come out on top. We killed 2 of them, they killed 3 of us. So now we're in a 1v2, where Jake took the fight on the Heaven players, and now a Proto is in lobby because he got this lobby trade. But now he's in a 1v2 against both of the players that came out through Heaven. What I think we could have done differently here is I think our team play in general on how we approached the lobby situation was really bad. I think that Spongy could have been more vocal in that 2 are coming radio, but he's not peeking. Or maybe Andy could have been more vocal in that he was swinging door to help. Because I think if Andy swings door and gets that kill, and we communicated that we're going to take that fight, and then Gabe peeks out hut, I think we get both of those kills with nobody dying. But instead what happened is Andy peeks, he gets the kill, but then he gets traded because nobody's helping him. Which leads to Gabe re-peeking, taking the fights, and then consequently Alex comes back to help out Gabe, and now nobody's helping Jake, and then he just gets 2v1'd. I think it was just bad communication there. I think if we kind of vocalized our plans more, how we're going to handle that lobby situation, like, okay, peek off me, we're going to take this fight, I think we lose a lot less players there. I also think maybe if we kind of planned ahead a little bit. I know it's hard to like plan ahead, quote unquote, because things are happening in seconds. But I think that if we knew we were going to take that lobby fight, I think Jake probably could have fallen off into hut, and we could have just committed to like holding lobby and not had a guy silo, because in that case we don't have a guy just taking a 1v2 where he doesn't really have any help. So Alex tries here, but he's going to lose this 1v2. Not a whole lot he can do. Yeah, they just double peek him, so not a lot he can do there. So the second round we force buy. I don't think this round was too terrible either. You're going to see what happens, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave the camera on Sonic so you guys just understand what happens. And I think after the round we knew this happened, but Jake has a nice round with his AK. It wasn't a bad force buy. Jake gets a 4K with the AK, but you're going to see how this round falls apart. So we're coming back upper. Jake gets the 4K. Nobody clears backside. So Sonic just does this. 1, 2. Jake's lit. Can't really do much. He does get a little bit of damage off in the spam. Just going to lose the 1v1. You're going to see this is a trend where we lose like 3 or 4 1v1s this half, which sucks. But I think we knew that there was one back silo because at some point at the end of the round somebody said, we knew that guy was there, right? Or something. I don't remember. But nobody cleared it. He just literally just waited and got an easy 1v3. And that was a throwaway of a really easy round where we got a bunch of really good entries off that eco. This round, we force bot again. I don't really like this force buy. Reason why is because we did this force buy and it doesn't look like we have a plan. Because they're just going to play a really standard crossfire setup here at ramp. And we're just going to run right into it. We do get 1, but that doesn't really matter. I think we had one guy outside too, because I don't remember if Andy. Yeah, Andy. Somebody died many, so we had an outsider. We're gonna have an outside lurker a lot on this map on T side half. Like we're gonna have a lurker. One thing that I think is an issue with our lurker is not very impactful on majority of the rounds. Floppy is usually by himself a lot on the gun rounds, and it's not. I'm not trying to call you out, Ricky. I think it's not necessarily your fault. I think it's just a role you've been put into for this map, and you don't really know what to do. But we're gonna have a lot of rounds where we have 4 people in one spot, and then like Floppy by himself somewhere, and it's just not really doing anything. Kind of like on that round, like having that lurker at mini didn't really accomplish anything. I think overall in general, like force buying when we don't really have a plan on those important rounds where we could just save up for economy, because now we have no money and we're forced to take another save. This is just going to be a throwaway round, so I'll just let it play. But yeah, that last round we had that force buy. That's an investment because that impacts how we play the next couple of rounds. And we didn't really do anything but do a ramp rush. And we just ran right into a crossfire. They didn't even throw away any smokes or flashes or anything. We just ran into a crossfire and died. So I think that if we're going to be force buying like that, we should have more of a plan in place. It's one thing if we have pistols and we just rush like this last round was just a throwaway. But if we're going to buy, I think we should try to make it count more. This round we're gonna do kind of like a slow default-ish type round. So this was the round that after we lost, there was a lot of anger on TeamSpeak about how people were going too fast or people weren't ready. We did something incorrectly. That's obviously a problem in and of itself. If we're practicing something in scrims and people are doing it differently in a match, that's obviously an issue. We want to try to play with the same pace every single time, try to play to our comfort. But there was one other thing in this round that I noticed it was an issue. So let's see. So we throw like one flash at ramp, and you're going to see that's the only thing we've thrown at ramp the entire round, that one flash. So we have people outside doing kind of like a slow type situation, slow outside. Alex and Jake are back here. We don't have any. Well, whoops. We may have smoked outside. So we threw like one smoke outside. So we have essentially no outside pressure. We have essentially no ramp pressure. And you're going to see what happens. This op here, Dechany, they know that we're not doing anything outside. They know we're not doing anything ramp. So what's going to happen is Dechany's just going to float outside. He's going to go take his op secret. They're going to stack 3 riflers upper. And because, guess where we're going to go. Now I'm going to give you guys credit. Our molly usage was pretty good. We got that top hot molly. We got JT down to 20% HP. We're going to get another molly on Asian that's really good too. It's really unfortunate because we're going to molly him out in this spot. And then he's just going to hit a nice shot on Ricky. But as you see at that point, we are starting to throw some things outside, put a little bit of pressure. But at this point, they already have 3 upper. They've already gone into their mid to late round setup where they have 3 upper. They have a guy Heaven, a guy top hut, and they have this guy Fady, who was Tetris in there. So those are the rounds where it feels like it's like, oh man, whenever we go upper, they have 3 there, and whenever we go outside, they have 3 there. That's what it's gonna be like when we don't put on pressure adequately. And we didn't give them a reason to stay at ramp. We didn't give them a reason to pay attention to outside up until, like, we went into our take. But at that point, they already had 3 upper. They just knew it was going to be an upper hit. And, they just reacted. Jake's hits some bangers, but it's going to be another 1v1 that we lose right here. This is at this point where I took a pause because people were kind of angry about not playing how we usually play. Kind of slow things down a bit. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I took this pause. This was a good pause, I think, just kind of like cool everybody out. We went back to taking an outside hit. So what's going to happen is basically they're going to throw... And by the way, I'm just going to take a pause here. I can't move. Hold on. So Fade's going to throw a molly like right here in front of red every single round, and it's going to stop this molly, so there's a gap pretty much every single round. So what they did is they smoked back hall. Like, they had their guy drop down ramp early. They play 2 ramp at the beginning of the round. They play Fade mini. They have a guy hut. And sometimes they have a guy outside. Sometimes they just tag up or whatever. But you just smoked back hall because they thought we did fast outside smokes. They thought it was going to be a fast outside, so they just smoked it. Now here's the problem is we can't really let one smoke stop our entire strat if we're just going to commit to it. Like, we sit here and wait, but we don't do anything anywhere else. And this is kind of what I was saying before about how we have a lurker that's just kind of unimpactful. Because, like, look at what Ricky's doing right now. He's not doing anything. And once again, I'm not saying this to, like, poke blame at Ricky, because he's just performing a role. He's the lurker. He's doing what he's told to do. But when you have your lurker not doing anything, and we have this standstill down here where we have our strats fast outside, and then we just get stopped, we have no pressure anywhere else. As far as they know, like, I'm going to show you what their ramp player is doing. They have all of ramp. They know we're not ramp. Look where he's at. What's their hut player doing? He's up close. Like, he doesn't have lobby, but he's playing essentially up close in hut. They're not going to go upper or ramp without them knowing about it way beforehand. Now, I will kind of give us a little bit of credit. They don't necessarily know how many of us went down because we did smoke. So for all they know, we could just be busting out Squeaky, and they don't have anybody there looking at that except for Sonic. So that is a fault on their part. But it seems like they're pretty much all invested that we're secret right now, and they're right. So all that's going to happen is we're going to commit to this. And we're going to throw, like, we're going to throw good nades here. Molly things out, flash, take our time. But it's essentially not really going to matter. JT's going to get that free kill where we can't trade him there just because of the angle he was holding. We're going to come down. I think what happens here is we throw a bad smoke. Yeah, we threw a bad smoke. So now Andy can't plant because there's a crack and he knows it. The op's just posted on it. What's going to happen is if you're going to try to plant, he's going to get that shot anyway. So just a bad smoke. We just take way too long. We're way too telegraphed. They have all the information in the world because we're not putting pressure anywhere else on the map. Ricky tries to make a play, as a lurker, and then he just gets killed because they're still holding outside. And it just all falls apart. We just give up all the picks everywhere. This is a throwaway round. We just have pistols, and we're all just kind of guerrillaing around everywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip this round. Everybody just kind of pushing out, trying to get a kill somewhere. This round we go back to fast side. I'm going to watch Fady again for a second. He throws that molly there. The smoke's messed up, so he has a gap. So if you look at the ESCA stats, Fady has had 130 ADR, maybe even more than that. He had like 28 kills. He had a great CT side, and he literally does this every single round. He just throws a molly, messes up our smokes, and then he just watches the gap, and then he just starts spamming it. Like, he's going to see people cross, or we're going to re-smoke. See, this is telegraphed right here because we just re-smoked it. And we had to, you know what I mean? We had to do that, but now they just have a guy hell, and they have this guy here, they're just spamming it. and he's just going to rotate. He's going to drop down, and they already have JT down here. He gets that info, so now Fade's going to drop down too. They have both these people here. Now here's what I was telling you guys about, where I thought you guys split up. So Jake died right there, and Andy's going to come through the vent right here. So that's two 1v1s in the sense that Andy's going to peek through vent. Jake just peeked right there. Alex is going to go peek control or window, and then Spongy is smoked off, and he's just not going to commit. So every single one of these fights right here is a 1v1. So Jake just died in a 1v1. Andy's about to get this right here. He's going to get a kill, but then he's going to get shot because they had another one there. So he should be traded. Fady should be traded right now, but Gabe was smoked off and he went here. So he didn't peek that guy. We didn't get the trade. Alex is the next who's going to die. He's taking another 1v1 right here. I think that was a panic spray, just adrenaline. Once again, guys, like, I know it's hard for me to say because when you're in a match, I know the adrenaline's flowing, but especially when you're losing 0-7, we just have to like aim. You know what I mean? Like, it's happened to me too. Like, I've been a player. I know what it's like to be in a match and like the pressure's on and you just like you panic spray. But it's something we have to control because it happened in both matches for us. Just those panic sprays. And then of course Ricky, just unimpactful lurker. Just unimpactful, and you just, for the 8th time, I'm not blaming you, it's just your role, but we can't have a lurker that's just not doing anything the whole round. We weren't hitting bad shots, like, we were hitting nice shots the entire game, we just weren't making them meaningful, we weren't getting trades, we overall just sloppy team play the entire time. This round's going to be another example of sloppy team play. So, Fady's been doing this every round so far. Every single round we've been throwing outside smokes, he's just been sitting here spamming the smokes. If we don't know at this point that he's been doing that, that's just really bad communication on our part, or it's just bad awareness, because he's just going to get a free kill right here. Then what's going to happen is he's going to fall off and his back is completely exposed to Squeaky. But we don't have anybody Squeaky. He's holding for the lobby push, which is not necessarily bad, but they haven't really been pushing lobby. This team has been playing very respectful. They haven't been over-aggressing, radio, haven't been over-aggressing hut or anything like that. They're not really scrimmy. They're playing standard. At this point, what we need right here is pressure. We need you to open up the Squeaky door and try to get this trade, because he's just going to fall off. He's going to... Oh, excuse me. I was thinking of a different round. Sorry, I'm stupid. There's a round where he gets that exact same kill and then he falls off and his back is just completely open to Squeaky. We get this trade. And what's going to happen? Okay, so this is the round, sorry. So this round, what's going to happen is we're committing upper, but we're super split up. So Alex and Andy are going to come through mini to go upper. We're going to have a guy Squeaky and we're going to have a guy hut. So I think what happens is we throw a bad mini smoke here. We don't throw a single mini smoke is what happened. So he gets shot in the back, we get no trade. Alex gets a kill, then he gets traded. Then we just take a 1v1 on mini, take a 1v1 on upper. It's that entire upper take, we were just split. We just got killed from a different angle every single time. And he gets shot in the back at mini. With no trade. Alex is out upper by himself because he doesn't have the hut guy peeking, because I guess the timing was just off. I guess we just weren't together. What needs to happen right there is when Alex gets the kill and gets traded, our hut player needs to get that trade. And then when Andy gets shot in the back mini, our Squeaky player needs to get that trade. And then at that point, both of them can group up and just play together, play the 2v, whatever's left, 2v2 I think it would be at that point, or maybe a 2v1. But we just gave them a bunch of kills with no trades right there, because we were just not together. This round, I'm going to talk a lot about. I don't think this round was bad, basically we did outside a mini split. So Sonic was backside, and he just like molly naded Mini as we were coming through, and he just got an easy kill on Alex and Gabe. Not a whole lot they could really do. So this situation, I think you guys remember what happened. One guy came up through Heaven with an op, and one guy came through Mini. We have Asian Vent who's hurt, and then we have Hut. So we do have a smoke here. It's really hard. I don't necessarily think this is a bad setup. I think what's going to happen here is Ricky's going to play for contact, and he peeks Heaven. He does a lot of damage to the Heaven player, and the Heaven player just quick scopes him, which is really unlucky. So you could say this 2v1 was just super unlucky if you wanted to. But the issue is that we do this damage to this Heaven player, but because of the angle, Jake can't trade because he's not actually peeking out Heaven. And then both of them just peek Jake. So what I think we should have done here is I think Ricky should have come back. There's two things you could have done. I think Ricky should have fallen back Hut here and come Squeaky, and then molly out, or sorry, so use his smoke for Mini. So that way we take out one, where like if they're gonna come out the vent, at least we have a crossfire and Asian Vent and Squeaky. Or if they come out Heaven, you know, Jake and Ricky can both peek together and at that angle. Or if a guy comes out Mini, he has to come through a smoke at least. And then we can, you know, at least that's advantageous for us if he's coming out of a smoke. Or what could have happened here is Jake had time to move where he could have gone Squeaky, and then we could have kind of just played a bit safer. Because what's going to happen is Jake just can't really get this trade. So I don't think it was bad here that Ricky peeked because he had to get contact. I'm going to slow it down. So Ricky had to get contact here. And you're going to see on his point of view, Ricky does damage here. And the guy quick scopes him, which is just unlucky. But look from Jake's point of view, he can't see him. Just no trade potential whatsoever. We almost get a lucky lineup, but they just come around here. He does a double take. Jake was looking up at the Heaven guy. He could have got that Heaven kill, but just not a whole lot Jake can really do. He had 20 HP. What I think may have been a good play is if Ricky came out Tetris, and that way he had a little bit of cover from Heaven, and he could have contacted on the Mini guy and then taken a shot and then ducked into Tetris, baited him out so Jake could get the kill. And then Ricky could have had some cover from Heaven, or maybe like that way you both could have peeked Heaven. Like, I think at that point when you're in a 2v1, you always want to play a crossfire setup where you can isolate one of them, where you can just take one of them out. At this point, Jake can't really do anything because he has 20 HP, and he's in a spot where he just can't really move. So Ricky had to make a play, and Ricky tried. He did damage. I don't think he did anything bad. I just don't think it was necessarily a great setup based on what we could have done. But you have to keep in mind that in those split second decision making moments, it's hard to decide what is the right thing to do. But, you know, just doesn't go our way. This is another round, I think, where we just didn't really put enough map pressure. That's what I wrote. We're going to see again because I don't remember what this round looks like. So if we do these slow strats like this where we're split up, it's going to be really important that we do things to like get pressure. Like that was another round. That was probably the round right there. We just had his back to. So he's going to get both those kills because he sees the gap. He gets one kill. He didn't see anything else. Doesn't hear anything else outside. He's just going to push. Which, you know, he's feeling it. They're 10-0. He's having a great game. He's just going to push. So he gets that kill. They have full outside at this point, and they have no reason. They had an op posted on ramp, so they know it's going to be upper. They just know. So they're all rotating back upper already. They have their vent player ready to come out. It's just they just knew it was going to be upper. He just cleared outside. He had all of outside. He knew it. Their op was posted on radio. We didn't throw a smoke or a flash or anything to keep him there. they just quick rotated upper. When we have those rounds where we're slow and we're split up a lot, we just need to use our utility to prevent them from rotating or to keep them in spots so that when we actually do take something somewhere, we don't have those situations where it feels like they always have a stack going on. There's always 3 there. It was at this point where I said, all right, guys, the strats kind of aren't working. We might want to just try being loose, and then we just did an upper rush, and it didn't really work out. So you can blame me if you want to. What I meant really was like not trying so hard to be slow, just trying to make like more plays, I guess, like off a default, like split up but try to get picks. Not necessarily an upper rush, but it's hard to say at this point what will work and what won't work. This round, I'm gonna just let you watch Fady and just see what happened. So he mollies that. And then we just know he does this. We just know that he peeks this, and we lined up. It's unlucky. We get the trade, which is good, but not a lot we can do. We were already on like an eco force buy anyway, so it's not a big deal, but that's all Fady's been doing the entire half. He just mollies that, and then he just peeks mini, and he made a living off of it the entire half. 130 ADR, 28 kills for the game. Majority of that being CT side, obviously. We need to figure out a way to stop that guy. We need to like flash him. We need to smoke that out. There's smokes we can throw to just smoke out that guy in particular. We need to like eliminate that guy because he was the main reason the RT side was just had no traction. This round we're gonna do a slow upper here, and this actually isn't bad. This slow upper actually isn't bad. The molly was good. We pushed them out of spots. They were blind when we came out. The issue here is we had nobody come out squeaky or smoke out mini, and you're gonna see why that was an issue. So they're blind. So he just comes here. If we had a guy come out squeaky, he's dead because he's blind and he's quick switching. So he's just dead. But then we don't smoke out mini as well. Like if we had a guy squeaky, we could have smoked out mini, made this guy irrelevant, or made him run through a smoke because he's just going to stand here. And you're just going to run into these guys. That's it. That's all it is, this mini player. Overall, otherwise, it wasn't a bad upper take. We got the 2 entries. We pushed them out of spots that were blind. If we just had somebody come out squeaky, we would have got 1 kill for sure because that guy was blind, quick switching his gun. And we could have maybe tried to smoke out mini. I don't know if Fady would have just got the trade there or not in that situation if we did have a guy. But we could at least smoked him out and made him have to work for that 2K. He couldn't have just stood there and got it for free. And this last round, once again, we're just going to watch Fady. He just won this half for them. And he just does the same thing every round. Just molly that. He's actually going to give outside this round, but he's still going to win the round for them. One v one, 1v1, 1v1, 1v1. So overall, it was, obviously it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that was just sloppy. A lot of those rounds were so incredibly sloppy, just the team play just wasn't there. It felt like we forced a lot of things, like how when we were smoking outside and they would molly it and mess up our smokes. And we either need to like counter that guy, like flash him off if we're going to commit. Like we need to like flash that guy out of mini, or so we don't just get spammed, or he doesn't get the info, or we need to like, we can just cancel and do something else. The round where we just sat there and re-smoked it, that was the round where they just dropped 3 down lower because they're like, okay, they re-smoked it, they're for sure going here, and they just stack lower. And I mean, in our defense, like, what else can you do? Like, yeah, you're going to re-smoke it so they can't see you, but at the same time, that's just a tell, and they stacked it. Like, if we're going to smoke like that, we're going to go down. A lot of times, if we're going to, on these slow outsides where we go down secret, we just take it forever, we have no pressure anywhere else. We don't pressure ramp
We don't pressure, lobby or hut or anything. We don't keep them from rotating. So when we put four down outside and we don't do anything, they just start stacking lower. Or when we don't do anything outside and we don't do anything ramp, they just start stacking upper. We made our entire T side half super telegraphed and really easy to read, and that's what's gonna cause those situations where we're like, man, it feels like everywhere we go they have three there. It's because we're really readable. It's possible sometimes the team is just gonna stack something. Sometimes like they're just gonna stack a site on cache or whatever, and you're just gonna run into them. And it's gonna feel like, man, it's like everywhere we go they have three there. Sometimes that's lucky. This wasn't one of those. They were just doing a good job of playing basic Counter Strike, getting information and acting on that information, and having good rotates and good mid round setups. That's all it was. Um, Overall, really sloppy on our part. I do think that a lot of our strats on T side, where we have like a four people and then like one lurker, our lurker just can't be that unimpactful. Like we either just need to have five, or we need to have like an aggressive lurker where he can actually like put pressure, or like get information or try to get a kill. Not necessarily somebody who's just holding something for the entire round and then only moves when people start dying everywhere else. Um, yeah, just something we can change. I think maybe having more defined roles is something we already talked about, but more defined roles on like an outside take where people are, we know who's clearing something. We have people who are clearing stuff, or like people who are supposed to peek this, so we don't have these situations where like one guy, people are peeking things one at a time and we don't have a teammate there to trade. I think that'll help with spacing if we have more defined roles and people have like a job to do, so we know who's supposed to be clearing what and who's supposed to be where. um, it wouldn't hurt to have like a good ramp take, or like a good, upper execute, which like we kind of talked about in practice but never really found a good one. But I mean, that necessarily wouldn't have helped either, because they just had great utility the entire half. Obviously 15-0. I mean, it's not like we can just execute a team that's up 11-0. Like they're not gonna have nades, But one thing that'll help is just having better pressure. We need to pressure them. We need to make them hold their spots and not quick rotate. We need to make them use their utility so that we can do things later on in the round. Um, but yeah, I've kind of broken down each round what I think. I don't know if this video is necessarily going to help, because it seems like, in my opinion, both these matches, it seems like we come in scrims and we know what we're doing, and then we come in the match and it seems like we just panic. It seems like people get this, in this atmosphere, there's this vibe where like we're kind of nervous and we're either forgetting what we're supposed to do, or we're panicking and we're trying to do too much. There are rounds where I think anytime you're in a match and people do things they don't usually do, it's because they're trying to do more. Like they think that like, oh, okay, my teammate died here, so now I have to go and do this and peek this because that happened. Whereas usually in a scrim, you just do this every single time. You know what I mean? Like, this is your job. You do this. And because in this match you panic and overthink things, and you think like, oh, I have to change this and do this now, or you overthink things and you're like, oh, they're going to do this, so now I have to do this, and so you do something differently, then it causes one of your teammates to die because they don't realize you're doing that. Obviously that's a very vague example. It's just an idea off the top of my head why I think you would play differently in matches and do poorly in matches as opposed to scrims. And I think it's just because like in a match you might panic more and do things you wouldn't usually do because you're in this panic state. You know what I mean? I think we just need to figure out how we can calm down in matches and just play how we play in scrims. Don't forget what we usually do. Just play our game, control our own pace. Don't play the way the other team's playing. Play to your own pace. I think having more defined roles where we're not doing something different a lot of times in scrims, where we kind of have the same people doing things and everybody has a job to do, I think that'll help us, so we don't have these situations where it seems like people don't really understand what's going on, and they don't know what they're doing, or they're doing something different. But overall, I mean, just better communication as well. Like there's just so many rounds where like if we just had better comms, we could have fixed a lot of it. It's hard in matches, especially in those in-game 2vx situations, to communicate and figure out what the best plan is for that time. Maybe we can just have predetermined post plants and things like that. Maybe we can just have spots like post plant situations planned out where we want to try to get these 2 spots or these 3 spots, so that when we're in these post plants, we already have like a crossfire that we like. We know what the plan is for our post plant. We know who we want to isolate. Like if they split heaven and mini, we're in a post plant where we can just take out the mini player, and then both of us can focus down the heaven player afterwards, or something like that. Those are just plans. Those are just ideas. But overall, I think the biggest thing is we just need to figure out how we can not be so nervous and panicked in matches, which is hard. That's going to be hard to figure out. But you guys are all great players, man. Like 3 of you just made finals in Premier last season, which obviously means you can win matches. Andy, I'm pretty sure Andy's won Premier before. I don't entirely know. I haven't been paying attention, but I know that Rise Nation team he was a part of is really good. I know they've accomplished a lot. They've either got second or first in Premier. It's a winning team. Aproto's been in Premier. He's a seasoned veteran in Premier. He's been here forever. Like Aproto, I don't think has an issue with playing differently in matches. I think he's the kind of player who's going to do the same thing the same time every single time. But you guys just need to remember who you are. You're way better than a lot of these teams. Like Bravado is a team we can lose to, and it's like, all right, we can take that L. We can't take that L with a 15 OT half though. It's just not forgivable. So at a certain point, we're just not playing the way we know we can. We're not being who we are. And we need to figure out how we can come into these matches with this confidence and play the way we know how to play.